I'm going to do a thing. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's spiked. You're good enough.
It's on here, so I can line those up and then I can edit from there.
Perfect. All right, you boys ready?
Ready?
You want me to intro you up? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Common Ground podcast, where I'm here with my friends and co-hosts to talk about our favorite format, Pauper. If you don't know what Pauper is, it is a format.
It is a format.
It
You're
is
right.
a format where only common cards can be used. So it's non-rotating. Any card printed ever once at common is legal. So we get cool cards like Lightning Bolt, Brainstorm, all that. There's a small ban list, so you don't get to do super unhinged stuff. You can't sinkhole your friends. But I mentioned my co-hosts. They are Thomas Gunn. How are you doing, Thomas?
Yo, Cameron, I'm doing well.
Awesome. And James Hieronymus, a.k.a. Hippo.
How's it going, everyone?
It is going. And today we're going to be talking about the meta in a broader term. There's a lot you can do in Pauper. It's super open, a lot of different play styles. So we're just going to talk about that. Number one, what's kind of like the most popular deck. I'll let Thomas take it away because this is kind of his bread and butter.
Oh, right away. Great.
Yeah, right away.
Cool. Well, we're going to talk about Mono Red first. Historically in the format, Mono Red has been a very fast burn deck. Back in the day, you'd have a bunch of lava spikes and fire blasts and things like that. I personally am also kind of still in that zone. But for the most part, the red deck today looks like it's still very fast. We got Monastery Swift Spear in the last year, which has been a huge addition.
Double Masters too. That was great.
It just speeds up this deck so much.
Love losing to that.
I love winning with it. And with the addition of cards like Experimental Synthesizer, also within the last, just under 2 years or something like that?
It's been a minute.
It's been around.
2022.
20, winter 22. Yeah.
Yeah, winter 22.
Okay, so it's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's nuts. How time flies. But with the addition of powerful artifacts like that give you value when they die or whatever, this deck plays the Kuldotha Rebirths of the world
that's
as well.
Kind of like the main of it.
So you can go wide. They're playing things like Thermal Alchemist or Kessig Flamebreather, because Flamebreather triggers off of the non-creatures. This is just a really, really fast deck. It's kind of the fun police of the format, like Mono Red tends to be in any format where it's good. And it's a blast to play, at least personally. It's a fire blast, a real fire blast to play.
I do want to note there's a pretty distinct difference between there are two different versions of the red deck running around in the format right now. There tends to be what we call like the Pinger version of the deck, which is the Kessig Flamebreather, and the Thermo Alchemist version that is definitely more geared toward what Thomas likes of the burn style of the deck. And then there's the more creature centric version, which is the like Goblin Blast Runner, Kuldotha Rebirth, and Goblin Bushwhacker version, which is just get them dead before burn spells even matter. So,
and then the deck is super resilient because you get 8 of these Ren's Resolves impulse effects, which are just crazy good, especially in the Pingers version where you get a trigger off those.
Yep.
And
Would you like to remind us what the Ren's Resolves and Reckless Impulses do?
So it is 1 generic, 1 red. You exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you can play them until the end of your next turn. So you can hit lands off those and spells, and it just makes it so the deck does not run out of gas.
Yeah, you have such high velocity. All your cards have high velocity. It just extends you so much further than most card advantage does in the rest of the format.
So I just clicked on the most like recent 5.0 list. They are not playing Fire Blast, which hurts.
Zero Fire Blast,
which hurts me. They are playing 4 Blink Goblins though.
the name sticker goblin. So there's actually so in paper and versus Magic Online, there's actually a difference between what's called this name sticker goblin.
Yeah.
Online, you don't have stickers, so they have given you the option to roll a d20, and for whatever value of your d20 you roll, you make X amount of mana based on what you roll.
How does that card work in paper? I like legit.
It is okay. So
is it worth talking about?
Yeah. So it's actually a big difference. It's way better on Magic Online because you're guaranteed. You're gonna get higher mana count out of it. So the idea of it in paper is that you have when you put a sticker on it, it gives you red mana equal to the number of vowels used in the creature name.
That makes sense.
So you have a better chance of it being good on Magic Online.
Classic Magic mechanic.
Yep.
It's a good mono red discussion. It's just the fast deck of the format. Get them dead. I like what you said, Gun, where it is like the fun police. It is like a good testament of like if a deck can hang in the format, you want a decent mono red matchup.
Yeah, if you want to succeed in this format, you have to be able to battle this deck.
You know what has a great mono red matchup?
A few different things.
Coggates. Is what I was leaning into.
But yes, I
next.
agree that it's probably the number one combatant
Oh, yeah.
for a meta share against the mono red deck.
And though I haven't played Coggates, I am familiar with the gate style decks. So you play the gates from Commander Legends, and when they enter, you're going to choose another color, and they tap for that color, and it's Basilisk Gate, which it's kind of like Kessig Wolf Run.
It is the Kessig Wolf Run of the format. Yeah.
So you can pay 2 at sorcery speed and pump something equal to the gates you control. And so basically any of your stupid scrappy threats just become huge beaters.
Like Sacred Cat.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I have played. I have played this deck a little bit.
Yep.
I've played also other versions of Gates as well.
And you did well with it too.
Yeah. It definitely beats up on the mono red decks. That's for sure.
Yes, it
especially the burn style decks more so.
And there's a few at our locals.
Their mono red is a huge presence at our local game store for the Pauper scene. This Gates deck, it's great. It's the de facto current control deck of the format. It's super, but it's also more. I feel like it's more in the mid range style. You get with pieces of card advantage like the Modern Age and Brainstorms and your Preordains. These are your card advantage sources. But your goal is just to grind out the game and then be able to stick one threat, be it a Sacred Cat, a flashback Sacred Cat, or
one of your 4 Squadron Hawks.
Yeah, or Squadron Hawk, the namesake card of the deck,
Yep.
which combos really well with cards such as your Brainstorms and
that's-
Prismatic Strands. We love the flashback cards.
I gotta watch somebody. They brainstormed, and they put 2 Squadron Hawks back on top, and they just played a Squadron Hawk and just picked up those 2 Squadron Hawks, and I'm like, oh, sick Ancestral Recall.
Yep, I definitely have done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is definitely just like the control deck of the format, and it's here to stay. As long as Mono Red is a good deck, this deck will be around.
I think like the secret best card in there is Prismatic Strands. That card seems disgusting.
I would argue that or the Modern Age.
As someone who's not played the deck, I'm going to say it's the best card in the deck.
Prismatic Strands and Modern Age are kind of the glue that hold that deck together.
Oh, that card's so cool.
So, what deck are we going to talk about next?
What about, the Terror decks?
Sure. So Terror is based around this card called Tolarian Terror. It was printed in Dominaria United last fall, and it is a 6 and a blue for a 5/5. It has Ward 2, and it also costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. So if you have 6 spells in your graveyard, it's as cheap as a 1 mana 5/5, which is a very, very good threat at the Pauper level. When you have like things like 2 mana removal spells at like most is like the very most efficient stuff that can take this off.
That Ward 2 is very annoying.
Yeah, and the Ward 2
is very
exactly.
Especially if you have to double burn it.
Exactly. Like even like a 3 mana red elemental blast or pyroblast,
pretty
like,
obnoxious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very annoying. And so this deck plays, your mental notes, thought scours, brainstorms, counter spells. It's like the blue shell of terror plus mill spells plus control spells.
And it got a good bump from Evolving Wilds with sorcery tagged on it, and that's being
Lorien revealed?
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Lorien, I think actually that was the card that probably put this deck actually like in firm position to be a player in the format.
And it's so lean on lands now too.
Yeah,
It
it plays.
is.
I think it's a most plays 16, 15 lands.
Which is right around there.
Yeah, it plays so few
It's
lands.
very uncomfortable to me for my liking.
And especially highlighting the tap duels from Dominaria United, because you can island cycle for the Contaminated Aquifer, so you can get your black mana in the blue-black decks or any other color if you're doing anything else. Because there are also some mono-blue decks, but if you're playing blue-red or blue-black, I think are the most common ones we've seen, usually blue-black. Lorien Revealed getting to get the mana fixing is huge.
I think it's worth to note too that Pauper doesn't have a Leyline of the Void or Rest in Peace Infect. All of its graveyard hate is like a Nihil Spellbomb or Tormod's Crypt.
Relic
Relic of Virginia tends to be the favored piece of graveyard hate for the format.
And that's the only thing that can like kind of repeatably do it and
Yes.
keep it down. But those things are even more better against graveyard combo decks. So Terror doesn't have that problem. Sometimes you have to Nihil Spellbomb or crack your Relic when they have three or four instants in their graveyard, because next turn they can just mental note hit 2, cast terror, and you're kind of donezo. So it puts you in an awkward spot. So it's very resilient to like the spell bombs and relics.
Yeah, the deck is obscenely powerful. It can definitely take a tournament down in any weekend. It's super efficient. It does the mono blue tempo thing. It does it best.
To play Snuff out too, which is cool. I guess we should say there's multiple variants of this.
Yeah, as Thomas alluded to, there's a blue black version that plays Gurmag Angler is another one of its threats, and it tends to play main deck Snuff Outs and Unexpected Fangs, so that you have a much better mono red or any aggressive matchup. And then the blue red version, there are different variants under this as well. They tend to play the Monarch creatures from Commander Legends.
Yep.
Which is great also. So this deck also tends to lean as its removal spell for Skred. So you play a lot of your snow-covered basics and the Fjord from Kaldheim to pump up the Skred.
Funny. The only terror deck is a non-green one. We gotta change that. We gotta make a non-green terror.
Green.
Yeah,
what
blue.
would we play? The
What do you-
Hooting Mantrels?
Yeah. Is that a common?
It is.
Oh, let's go.
You can play that.
Big hoots.
So yeah, there are different variants of flavors of terror that you can play. They all have their merits. If you want to, if you really want to lean into being able to beat both the mono blue terror decks and the mono red decks, blue red is great because it gets both access to both of sets of blasts.
Ooh, yeah.
Which is very
that's a
good.
point.
I know, speaking back on the mono blue version, you get to play up to 8 blue blasts, which is nuts if you really want to beat.
We missed out of Coggates too, and that's why.
Yeah,
Coggates is nice too.
Coggates gets access up to
10 of its sideboard slots are just
blast. Yeah. Most of the Cogate sideboard is just the blast, and then it tends to have some number of artifact enchantment
Dust
removal.
or
That's
something.
basically
Yep.
it. Destroy Evil tend to be another one.
I want to move this party to Boro Synthesizer. It's just kind of a baby of Hippo and I, so we both really like this deck.
Yes.
So the namesake of the deck is Experimental Synthesizer. It is a 1 mana red artifact, so it costs 1 red. When it enters a battlefield or leaves a battlefield, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you can play that card. So if you hit a land, you can play it. Then, for 2 and a red, you can sack it and create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance at sorcery speed. And so that, in combination with Glinthawk or Core Skyfisher, you get a bounce that synthesizer back and it'll trigger.
This deck might have the highest velocity of drawing cards in the whole format.
I love it. You're just moving around so many pieces of paper.
Yeah, I think aside from the draw 2s out of like the black decks, this is the number 1 deck for drawing cards. This deck draws an obscene amount of cards if you get the engine rolling.
So this is the deck when I force my wife to play Pauper with me. I like to make her play this one. It's a cool deck. And it is kind of like a hard deck to play if you don't play a ton of Magic.
Yeah.
But the way I kind of explain it to her, I just try to think of it in like pieces of physical cardboard equals good. So like the more cardboard you get to turn through, it's just so much fun. And you get to play, what's the blast? There we go.
Yeah, you get to, so this deck actually also backs up as a burn deck. Gets to play a full set of lightning bolts, a full set of galvanic blast, and some number of usually Foundry Helix.
I was about to mention that card. That card's really good against a burn matchup. I've gotten out of that a tricky spot against Gun when we were playing. Just Helix can kind of steal a game against them, and turns out you're the beatdown.
I think the general game plan is to just beat up with a couple creatures a couple times. You've drawn so many cards over the course of however many turns. Your creatures are kind of dead at some point, but you just finish them off with a fury of burn spells.
Maybe a flyer or two.
Yeah, so a couple flyers to get in there, but mostly just the burn spells to close out the game.
And recently, or maybe within the last year, a cycle of standard sets, the Bard Batterfist from the Phyrexia Albleby one is essentially a living weapon for people who remember living weapon. But it has 4 Mirrodin, so it's an equipment that comes in with a 2/2 Rebel token that it attaches to automatically. And so that Batterfist is another thing that you can bounce back and forth and just like keep making 2/2s.
Yeah, making a stream of 2/2s becomes a really good engine. This deck, the engine of course Skyfisher and Glinthawk has been around in Pauper for basically the existence of the format. It's so good. It continues to be good to this day.
I remember Hippo, you and I were playing a game, and I think this is when I recently started hanging out with you guys. I watched you missed a land drop, but you played
Oh, okay. So the interaction he's talking about is getting an extra land drop, basically with Core Skyfisher.
Yep.
You've missed a land drop for a turn. You just get to pick up a land and replay a land and play like a 1-drop or something out of it. It's a nice little trick.
And I would say this deck is a little more slower because you do play the tap lands and stuff.
Yeah, this deck is pretty slow, but it's also super resilient as well.
Fun deck.
Yeah, super fun deck. Love it. Well, I think we've got next on the list is and one of Cameron and I's, also another favorite of ours, is the Gardens deck, or the Black Green Gardens deck.
A newer addition to the metagame, generally speaking.
So this deck actually, its origins comes from the older mono black control decks of the format, but with the addition of the Initiative and Monarch, this deck is just all about prolonging the game as long as possible. This is one of the bigger control decks of the format too. The goal is to just prolong the game with all these pile of removal spells. You get to play the best removal spells in the format.
Oh, yeah.
With a full set of Cast Down, a full set of Chainer's Edicts, and depending on what version you want to play, you can also play Defile in your deck.
People either play Defile or Snuff Outs.
Yeah. Also, you get to play. Speaking of, you get to play some free removal spells in Snuff Out, and a cool deck that basically only this deck plays is a card called Spinning Darkness.
That card's so cool. It's such a weird card.
For those who don't know what Spinning Darkness is, it is 4 black for an instant. You may, instead of paying its mana cost, remove the top 3 black cards of your graveyard and cast it instead. And it deals 3 to target creature, and you gain 3.
And Pauper doesn't... When we say control in Pauper, it's a little different from traditional control decks in other formats. We don't have hard rafts like Wrath of God or anything like that. Instead, we have stuff like Drown in Sorrow, which can do -2/-2 to everything in a sideboard. But main deck, we have the Crypt Rats, which you can pay only black mana using, but X, it deals X to everything, including both players. And that card's really cool with
the Initiative.
The Initiative one, but I was going to say Deadly Dispute.
That as well.
Because with that on the stack, you can stack it to draw the 2. This deck tries to recoup its card advantage and Deadly Dispute and
Reckoner's Bargain
as well, with the Ichor Wellsprings, though.
Yeah.
So that turns into a draw 3, which is great.
Yeah. Also, so with this deck being so slow, you definitely have to have a way to beat up on these aggressive decks pretty hard, and Reckoner's Bargain does a fantastic job at that. Gaining even just 2 off of an Ichor Wellspring, or if going all the way up, gaining 5 off of your Avenging Hunters is obscene.
Me and Gunn met in the
semifinals
in our
last
locals.
monthly Pauper.
Yeah, and that is what saved me, was the Reckoner's Bargain on the Avenging Hunter. I'm like, all right, I'll gain the 5. And that bought me time to find my weather, the storms in the sideboard.
That it did.
I think it's also worth to mention, you hinted on it. If you play Crypt Rats and play the Avenging Hunter, and usually everybody goes down the far left path, especially in this deck with Avenging Hunter, and that second chapter to put 2 counters on Crypt Rats is so disgusting if you get to pull it off.
Yeah, if you just get a repeatable deal to everything,
so cool.
it's pretty good. So this is your make your own Evankar's Justice for all your old Pauper players out there who know what Evankar's Justice is.
I don't even know what that card does.
So back in the day, there was a deck called Mystical Teachings. And this was your win condition. You played Pristine Talisman, which is an artifact. It's a 3-mana artifact. You tap it, gain 1 life, and make 1 mana. So if you have 2 of those in play, and Evankar's Justice is a I can't remember the exact mana cost on it, but it's a card with buyback. So it was a deal 2 to all creatures, deal 2 to all players. So so you would only deal 2 to them, and you would eventually buy this back enough and kill them off of not dying from your talismans. It was a blast to play.
And we didn't even mention the namesake of his deck in
Colony Garden.
Yeah. So it's a tapped forest. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 0/1, and that 0/1's nice for chumping or sacking to Deadly Dispute to draw the cards. And you can bounce it with the rot farms and stuff, which is really cool.
Specifically for chump blocking against the terrors. This deck is, if terrors are rampant in your metagame, this is a great
This
choice.
deck absolutely eats terror for breakfast.
The place at a Chainer's Edict in the main board is just great.
Not only Chainer's Edict, you've also got a main deck Bajuka Bogs that you can also bounce with your rot farms if you so choose to play that version. It is just absolutely annihilates that deck. I know the one Pauper event that I won with when I played this deck. I played against it multiple times that day, and just having Bajuka Bog in the deck was so obscene against them. this deck, you can say having such a pile of removal spells against them, it's also just ridiculous. I think one game I ended up decking my opponent because they just didn't have enough creatures in their deck to fight through all of the removal spells that I had.
You have more removal spells than
they
do
have
creatures. Yeah. And you can tell, like, even in the deck building, it has a good matchup because in the sideboard, it's usually just like 1 or 2 Nihil spell bombs. They're not even bothering with the relics. It's like, we do not care. We're just going to chain your creatures away anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool deck.
Yeah. Definitely love that one. I know you revisited it as well.
Oh, yeah.
On the next month.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the interaction with Deadly Dispute and Ichor Wellspring, I think the deck that handles that, I think the deck that showcases that the best are the Grixis affinity lists. I can hear the MTGO grinder screaming at us now, why haven't you talked about affinity yet? But we're doing this in no particular order, so here we are. So affinity. For anyone who's unaware, affinity is generally affinity for artifacts. It can be for it's been for other card types too over the last like Modern Horizons printings or anything like that. Affinity for artifacts says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. So that's old school all-stars like Frogmite, Mirror Enforcer.
Sure, 0 mana
Thoughtcast.
Yeah, Thoughtcast. Essential cards that basically have affinity for artifacts. Like sometimes you'll see like Gear Seeker Serpent in these lists, things like that. And then a whole bunch of effects like Ichor Wellspring, sometimes play some spell bombs, chromatic stars, things like that, and then stuff like Deadly Dispute, Reckoner's Bargain, like the cards we had mentioned before, to sacrifice them for value, make more artifact tokens, draw cards, and just eventually just grind your opponent out of resources and then attack them dead.
So you can just spit out your hand and try to recoup it back too with the Thoughtcast, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. This deck also tends to want to play a longer game as well. It may be an aggressive deck by also having a 4 top end Galvanic Blast, but the game plan is to go long because you have all of these card draw spells in your deck too.
And eventually, you can just untap, play makeshift munitions, and kill your opponent.
Yeah,
because you're playing all the artifact lands and stuff too.
Oh, and another thing that this deck also really likes to play is Krark-Clan Shaman. Sacrificing artifacts to wrath your opponent. It's fantastic.
And only non-flyers.
Yes, it's not very good against the call gates. But
when mono blue fairies was still popular, I remember I read like a quick sideboard guide at Affinity, and I was playing at our locals, and I'm like, why are they taking Krark-Clan Shaman out? I'm like, it seems so good in this matchup, and I left it in, I drew it, and I read it, and I'm like, oh,
that's why.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not good.
Reading the card explains the card.
Yeah. You beat me to it.
But yeah, this deck has been around as long as Pauper's been around. It's looked very different over the years. It's so powerful, in fact, that there are actually 2 different versions of the deck in the format right now. Would you like to go over what the other version of this deck looks like?
Sure. This other version plays another dear friend of mine, several dear friends of mine, namely Gingerbrute. I'm a Modern Hammer aficionado, for those listening. But this is more of an aggressive, tempo-oriented list that highlights all that glitters, which very recently got downshifted to common. I believe that's Commander Masters?
Yes, the most recent Commander Master set.
And so all that glitters is 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. You enchant creature. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. So very good in a shell that has a ton of artifacts. We're also playing things like Moon Circuit Hacker so that you can bounce something that gets unblocked, draw a card. It's an enchantment that helps with all that glitters. This is an Ornithopter Springleaf Drum Mana Acceleration deck. It's another Thraben Inspector deck like the Synthesizer list. I'm just trying to flood the board with a ton of cheap artifacts, play your Frogmites and Mirror Enforcers, suit them up, and just smash. So this one is trying to be a little faster.
Oh, yeah.
And it might be a little more fragile in some spots, but you can cover those spots with things like Blacksmith Skill, Metallic Rebuke. You also have access to Metallic Rebuke in the Grixis version too, but this one is definitely trying to be a lot more aggressive.
Does this version play Kinko Artificer?
No,
I see one in this list that I'm looking at now.
0 to 1.
It is 0 to 1. Yeah, it's not like super popular because you're just trying to kill them quickly. Yeah. That one's trying to play a lot longer of a game.
That is a super cool card. That can block a terror forever. Quite literally.
Can indeed.
It's true.
So one of the things about this, if you've played Pauper long enough, you'll notice that almost every single sideboard of every single deck in the format has answers to the affinity deck. Because if you do not, Also old modern players will know if you don't pack your hate, you will lose to it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is tried and true. It happens every time.
Even though nobody plays it.
I know that I know at our local shops that tends to be a deck that people don't gravitate towards, but everybody still has their hate for it ready to go. Nobody's coming unprepared for it because they know the story.
I'm gonna throw back to the Grixis real quick. I mentioned Kinko Artificer. I think that card's really great in there. Say what that does is 2 and a blue, so it's 3 mana for a 1/1. When it ETBs, you can put 3 counters on a non-creature artifact, and it becomes a creature with flying. So you put those on one of the indestructible lands, and you get a 3/3 flyer indestructible.
Yep.
For 3, which is pretty great. And it sticks around even if the 1/1 dies. And I played this deck 1 month, and I did well with it, but I did not have fun.
Yeah,
you have to think.
You looked pretty miserable all day.
I was.
You had to fight for every single one of your wins.
I didn't get any free wins. There wasn't like, oh, I just steamrolled this person. It's a very like Jundy deck of the format in a weird way.
Yes.
Like you're trying to fair game plan everything. Even if you get dusted, you can still come back and win those. I don't think you have any like horrendous matchups.
No, I think all your matchups are completely reasonable. They're all winnable. That's why every deck has to have an answer for it, or they will lose to it. Now, one deck I will mention that does not have a good matchup against it, but we can move on to that. That is, I know Pauper players of the world will groan and groan and groan on about it. Players don't tend to like having their lands blown up, do they?
No.
Do they? So we can talk about the green red Ponza deck or green black. It's the Ponza deck in general. So what is the Ponza deck? So it's the idea that you ramp into a turn 2 land destruction spell. It's the whole point of the game, and then you just are able to outclass every single turn from the rest of the game on.
So the dream is to go turn 1 force, Llanowar Elf, turn 2 another force, Utopia Sprawl, enchant your untapped force, naming probably red, and then you get to make 4 mana with that elf now, and then you get to play your 3 mana or 4 mana.
If you're going for the full flavor, let's go for the Movani Acid Boss, which blows up target land, and you get to go search yourself for a forest, put it into play tapped.
That is the dream.
Yes, and this deck also gets to take advantage of the new land cyclers with Generous Int and Oliphant. If you so choose to play Oliphant. And then you have your top end is a lot of the Cascade cards in the format that are available with the Allosaur, the generous or the Boarding Party, and this deck also is one of those another initiative deck. It fights from a lot of different angles. It's just a big creature deck. And your opponent doesn't like having their lands blown up, I'll tell you that.
It's a Weather the Storm deck, like any green deck will be.
I said this deck has a hard time like coming back from losing. I think you either like win hard or lose hard.
Yes, I would agree.
But one time Hippo and I were playing, and I annoyed Altasword into Boarding Party into take the initiative with Magic Hunter, and I'm like, oh cool, I win.
I don't think you can. I don't think there's almost a series of draws that gets anybody out of that.
No,
not at all.
Also, you get to attack that turn because the Boarding Party has haste.
Yep.
So we've got Ponza. Another deck that's an old Pauper favorite is another one that takes advantage of all that glitters is Mr. Gunn.
Oh, the Boggles. The Boggly Boggles.
I know you're a Boggles fan.
I wasn't sure which direction you were going with that.
I didn't either.
No, Boggles was my first modern deck. For those that aren't familiar, it's named after one of the namesake creatures, Slippery Boggle. And it's just a 1/1 for 1 mana with Hexproof. You got 8 of those total between the Slippery Boggle and the Glade Cover Scout, as well as usually another 4 copies of something like Selhana Ledgewalker, some other Hexproof threat. Some older lists used to play that Badger that would get bigger if you had auras, like it was the 3 mana 2/2. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, just trying to suit up with a bunch of auras, Rancors, Ethereal Armors, the new All That Glitters downgrade, Armadillo Cloak, things like that. Just make a go tall and just smash.
This is definitely one of those decks too. It's like I'm either gonna murder you so hard or I'm gonna lose so hard. It's definitely not. I shouldn't say not a fun deck. This is some people's play style.
Right.
Like it's not. If you want interactive games, it's just like do not play this deck. You will either be like really happy the entire day or very miserable the entire day.
Yes.
Speak of that deck's interaction. It does play one piece of interaction that I absolutely got blown out by one time, and I was not prepared for this. The card Ram Through. Man, A giant boggle with a ram through did not make me feel good.
I was sitting next to
That's
Hippo.
so sick.
I was sitting next to him when his opponent played ram through, and his opponent's like, "You'll take 10," and Hippo's like, "No." And the guy's like, "Yes," and Hippo picks up the card and reads it, and you look so angry. You were fuming.
Yeah, I got to learn what Ramthru did that day. I was not particularly exciting.
It's a fight spell, but the extra damage tramples through for some reason.
If the creature has trample, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns out a lot of the enchantments in this deck give their creatures trample.
It's true.
Armadillo Cloak is a big one.
I think that about wraps it up though for like a broader melon.
I've got one.
We have a classic that we have.
I've got
left
one more.
behind.
This is one of the older decks as well. Is the Fairies deck.
Oh,
How could you forget the fairies
yeah,
deck,
I know.
Cameron?
That's my
It's
bad.
the Fairies deck.
This is my first intro to Pauper too.
So the idea of the Fairies deck is that you have a couple of different one drops, mainly Fairy Miscreant and Fairy Seer. Fairy Seer tends to be your favorable one drop on turn one. The idea of this deck is to attack with these simple 1 mana creatures, or actually its main counter spell in the form of Spellstutter Sprite, to be able to pick these cards up and put in either Ninja of the Deep Hour or the other blue ninja from the Kamigawa set to get card advantage, and then be able to replay these fairies for extra value. It's just this is the true tempo deck of the format.
Yes, it is.
And this deck kind of like died out, and all of a sudden it won 2 challenges in a row, and everyone's like, "Okay, it's an A tier deck again. Like it's S tier again."
Yeah.
Like let's start playing it.
Counterspell plus threat is good.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody knows that or
but
not.
nothing really changed.
No, I think the only thing that really brought this deck back is how good Snuff Out is.
Yeah,
I think Snuff Out, how
Out's-
good Snuff Out is really what brought this deck back into the fold.
And you have like good game against anything. I see a lot of like main deck Agony Warp to deal with either the Flying Kinko Artificer.
Or Guardian of the Guild
Yeah.
Pact out of the Call Gates deck.
And this is like one of the other control-y decks of the format.
Yeah, this tends to lean more on the tempo side of things more than a control deck. But yeah, it does have some control elements with the counter spells like Spellstutter Sprite, and also has main deck counter spells as well.
And it feels really bad when your opponent hits you with a Spellstutter Sprite and you unblock and they bounce it with the Ninja of the Deep Hours, like you said. They draw a card and then they have
And then
that
they also have the counter
again.
spell it back up and again.
Oh,
Yeah, I know there was a few month period where I know another friend of ours likes to play this deck, and he and I would play, and I could not for the life of me beat it, no matter what I played against it. And then all of a sudden, one day, things changed, and I could not lose to it anymore. It was great.
This was definitely like my first love of Pauper too. This is what got me playing it.
Yeah, this is your first Pauper tournament at our local store.
And Augur of Bolus, you to play that's a classic. You get to know the bottom 3 of your library.
That card has gotten a lot better over the years, but yeah, this is probably the worst. This is probably the worst deck for Augur of Bolus.
I hate that card so much.
The common joke: know the bottom 3 cards because you'll definitely miss on it like every single time. And I want to go over one more deck.
Sure.
I think that like one card that we've definitely missed on that needs some attention because it is one of the better engine cards of the format as well is Ephemerate.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ephemerate.
Ephemerate. This can be split into two different decks. I'm going to highlight specifically the Jeskai Ephemerate deck right now. I'll also mention the Familiars deck, also another Pauper classic. It's been around forever.
Orzhov was really popular for a
Yes.
little bit. It kind
But
of fell off.
but I think the best Ephemerate deck right now is definitely going to be the Jeskai Ephemerate deck. This is also another really hardcore. This is a hardcore control deck.
It beats the crap out of Gardens.
Yeah, having your win condition be mainly a looping Archaeomancer with Ephemerate.
What's Archaeomancer do?
Archaeomancer 2 blue for a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may pick up target instant or sorcery from your graveyard and put it in your hand.
So how do you loop that?
So the way that Ephemerate works is that you will have ephemerated a creature already. Ephemerate goes to rebound. Once you've cast it from exile to rebound, you'll target your Archaeomancer with it. It'll have resolved and it puts the Archaeomancer back into play once the Ephemerate sees it in the yard, and it will pick it back up.
And for those who don't know, Ephemerate is for 1 white, it is a flicker effect with rebound.
Yes.
As Hippo said.
But yeah, this is a hardcore control deck. Tends to win with, like say, the Archaeomancer loop, or you can also get there with your pet card here with Kenku Artificer.
It's a really strong deck.
Yeah.
It looks so fun to play. I think it's one of those things where the pieces kind of have to fall in the right places, and I would not be comfortable playing it into a meta full of mono red. I feel like Gun would just eat me up.
It depends on if you're prepared. This deck has a bunch of Hydro Blast. It can play a bunch of Hydro Blast. It can play Dawnbringer Clerics, which are very good to Ephemerate. Anything that has enter the battlefield, gain life in an Ephemerate deck is going to be pretty strong.
Also, depending on what version of the mono red deck you can play, you can also just completely end the game by playing Stonehorn Dignitary. Stonehorn Dignitary against the Kadoltha version
so
specifically,
cool.
the game will automatically be over, and they can scoop up their cards.
Stonehorn's so it says when it enters the battlefield, your opponent skips their next combat step.
Correct.
So both stack. If you blink it 6 times, they're not going to skip their next one. They're going to skip their next six ones.
6 combat steps.
It's kind of not intuitive, but it's so cool.
That is a card available to that deck that will end the game depending on what matchup you're playing. If you're playing some of these aggressive decks like typal decks like Elves and Slivers and things like that, they cannot beat this card main deck. It is unbeatable.
I just want to shout out to, I'm not going to, none of us are really huge combo players, but there are various flavors of combos you can play in Pauper.
Correct.
We're not like, there's the walls combos, goblins, Hippo briefly mentioned familiars.
I think the number one like playable combo deck of the format is just the Mogwarts deck.
And
I think that's the best.
I
think it's the best one.
It has a good plan B.
It has a good plan B with the Exhume and the Troll.
And I would say this is, if I was talking about Pauper 2 years ago, I would have definitely mentioned this in the Pillars. That is Tron.
Yeah.
But Tron has kind of fallen off a little bit. I think partially to mono red probably just eats it up.
Yeah, I am also a Tron fan. This deck just gets eaten alive by mono red. The current there are two current versions of the Tron deck. The less popular one right now is what we call Flickertron or Ephemerate-tron.
That's the cool version.
That's the really cool version. It gets to play an old school Pauper favorite in Mystical Teachings. But yeah, that card is just way too slow in the face of Monstrous Whisper. And the other version of the deck is a true combo deck. This deck does not want to do anything other than execute this combo. The whole point of it is to play a card called
it's Altar?
Altar of
The Brood?
No.
No.
No, that's a rare. That's not
I can't play
allowed.
that in here.
Ashnod's Altar. The deck plays a card called Ashnod's Altar. The idea is to loop a card called Mirror Retriever. With 2 Mirror Retrievers plus an Ashnod's Altar, you have infinite die triggers and you have infinite into the battlefield triggers.
And this is a deck that did really well on the last Paupergeddon. For those who don't know, there's, I think, 3 or 4 huge Pauper tournaments a year in Italy, because for some reason Italy just has a ginormous Pauper scene. And it doesn't really see a lot of play in MTGO because it doesn't work right now.
Okay, currently, as of this recording, it is unplayable online.
Even if it was playable, it's a lot of clicks.
Yeah, your opponent, obviously, on Magic Online is not obliged to concede to you once you've demonstrated a loop with this deck, but this deck aims to, 1, gain infinite life, and then once it has gained infinite life off of looping these Mirror Retrievers a bunch, your goal is to win the game with a card called Golem Foundry. Golem Foundry is a 3-mana artifact. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, put a Foundry counter on it, and then you can remove 3 Foundry counters on it to make a 3/3 Golem. And you also have once you've made infinite golems, if you'd like, you may play munitions, makeshift munitions to kill them, because you can make infinite creatures and then you sack enough of them to make enough mana to sack and deal them enough damage to kill them.
So I've actually never seen this deck play out in paper.
Yes,
I have.
Oh, is it?
Our friend Drew played it against me one time at our monthly event.
Was it good?
It executed. I was playing mono red, as I almost always do, and I think it was game 2. I had one game 1. Game 2, he executed the combo, but he didn't have a way to actually kill me, didn't have munitions, but he made infinite 3/3s, and then I untapped and just killed him.
Yeah.
So
this deck
I don't know.
So this deck also likes to play a lot of the cantrip artifacts to trace these pieces on time as well. Because you may have the combo of Mirror Retriever, but if you have nothing to do with it, then it just looks kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
It also plays a card called a new addition from Phyrexia All is One, is Mirror Kinsmith. Tutors up your mirror retrievers, which is pretty sweet. This is really the reason the deck actually got put back on the map.
Yeah.
Or put on the map at all.
Yeah.
Wrap up. Pauper's really cool. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. Like, a lot of tempo-y stuff. Pauper is such, like, you're eking for incremental value. Even the aggressive red deck is drawing all these cards. You're trying to make sure you're not leaving a single point of damage on the board, stuff like that. The control decks are finding these backwards ways of drawing cards off Ichor Wellspring. You have the synthesizer decks, which are flipping over all the cards. It's a cool format. You can be aggressive. You can draw cards. You can play big, dumb 7/5s with Cascade if you want to. Mm-hmm. So it's great. It has everything. Go out there and play some Pauper.
Yeah,
there's a ton of stuff going on. It's a great format. There's a reason we're here talking about it. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And it's relatively cheap. Much cheaper than many other formats.
That's the best part. If you haven't got it yet, we all play at the same LGS, and they do once a month win a box. Every 8 people, another box gets thrown in. And Hippo and I usually play something different every month just because the tier 1 decks are $20 to $50 max. So it's great.
Yeah. I've had a blast playing over the last several months at our store.
And it's really what's kept you, Hippo, in the Magic in general.
Yeah. That and another topic, Cube.
Yeah.
We can talk for hours about Cube.
That's a different podcast.
Different time. But yes, I something I look forward to every month. Sadly, this month we have pre-release for Ixalan Caverns. But yeah, I love it. I look forward to it every single month. I look forward to what different thing I can play every single month because I definitely try to change it up.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of other people do too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is a blast. We love that. All right.
Pauper's great.
Pauper's great.
Who knew? So we're going to talk about, there was a big tournament called the 5th God of Pauper, and this was in Tokyo, Japan, and it had 175 people. So there's not a ton of huge tournaments, especially in paper for Pauper. So it's really fun when we get the opportunity to talk about these. It's fun to talk about them.
So quickly breaking down the top 8, starting in reverse order. In 5th through 8th, they're listed in no particular order. Yuta Yokokawa on Blue-Red Skred. Yuki Yamamoto on Mono-Blue Delver. Zhu Baozhang on Dimir Terror. Yuta Takahashi on Dimir Control.
I didn't even see that.
That's our former world champion.
He is indeed.
Ray, third and fourth are semifinalists. We have Ray Hirayama on Gates. We have Takahiro Ikeda on Dimir Fairies. Our finalist, Yuki Harada on Gates. And in first place, Ryuichi Katayama, excuse me if I mispronounced that one, on Koldatha Red. The homie coming through.
I'm going to
mono red
pause
deck.
you real quick.
Yeah.
You can cut this off if you want to, because this might be a little bit of rambling. How cool is it that Yuta in Worlds open Bitter Blossom?
That was cool.
Okay, looking back to Pauper.
That was pretty
So Red looked like it had a pretty good performance in this tournament, putting up.
Yeah, this is the version that tends to play more of the bushwhacker style with Kadoltha.
So this was the red version, and
There are 2 improvised clubs in the main deck. I'm just seeing now.
Yeah.
I've been
you
thinking
were
about
talking
that
about
card.
So
and I made fun of you.
So I know this is a card that not only the mono red deck share or has, but I know some versions of the Boros synthesizer deck also tend to or might play this card. Yeah, I've not personally played with it, but it seems like it does the thing. If you need another burn spell.
In the finals, it was Red taking Coggates, which is usually, we've called it a buy for Coggates before.
Yeah, I do think Mr. Gunn should highlight why that might be the case, though.
I think it had a little something to do with these 4 copies of Rays in the sideboard. It's a 1-mana red sorcery that you have to sacrifice a land, but then you can destroy another land. And so in a deck like this, you don't really care about your mountains. You would much rather keep the gates off of the battlefield, especially things like Basilisk Gate.
So are you hitting the other, like, Sea Gates or Azoria Skill Gate for value? Like, if it's like turn 2?
I mean, maybe. I think if it were me, I would try to wait for Basilisk Gate as long as I possibly could.
But I do think a more skilled Gates pilot is going to wait as long as possible to play that Basilisk Gate till they can get a good turn with, like, specifically in that matchup, a Sacred Cat into play.
Yes.
They're going to wait.
Guess they got second in a 175 person tournament, so I'm going to guess they're somewhat.
They're probably pretty good with the deck.
Yeah, they're probably pretty good.
The deck is hard to play. So on the other side, on the gate side, nothing in the main deck really worth of note here. But a lot of these gate sideboards tend to have a lot of these blast effects. In this particular person's version of the deck, they played 3 of the blue elemental blast, 2 of the hydro blast, and one dispel in this particular matchup as far as its way to combat that matchup.
Notable, no dust to dust. It runs 3 destroy evils, which I don't.
So
like that.
okay, so I can give you a reason for this.
Yeah.
So the reason is that this deck does not lose, or this deck is not really worried about exactly anything. The blue-white affinity, it is more worried about the Grixis affinity deck. And Grixis affinity not being a super popular deck, not even in paper or on Magic Online. A lot of players have just moved away from it and gone to dust because it does kill. It kills all the glitters, or it just kills a giant creature that's already been glittered.
Or Stone Rain.
Or it also just
Double. Yeah.
oh well, for the dust to dust.
Yeah.
But
The
the destroy evil is
Yep.
is the
enchantment.
blow up an enchantment or a creature with
That's cool.
toughness 5 or greater.
And
4.
Also
greater. Yes, 4
notable.
greater.
I like the standard bearers in the sideboard, so that's really good. For the mirror standard bearers is a 2-mana creature, and Hippo, you got pulled up. What does it do?
So this creature has a fun ability. All of you like bearers or flag bearers do this. Whenever an opponent would have a spell or ability that could target standard bearer, it must target standard bearer.
And so you bring this in for the mirror because it makes your opponent Basilisk Gate have to target that standard bearer.
Yes.
So, and the only way to get rid of it in the mirror is the 4 Journey to Nowheres. So or counterspell, of course.
Yes, and then another fun card that the Gates deck gets to play is the Dawnbringer Cleric. So actually, you can blow up these Journey to Nowheres too, which is pretty good.
Y'all, I love Dawnbringer Cleric. I got to pick up 2 standard bearers. I found the foil ones. They're like $4 a piece, so I snapped those up. If I can find any old school foils like that, I'm like, yes, please.
So yeah, this person they chose to go fewer cards for the red matchup, and that was the result.
Which I kind of agree with that because it's already a good matchup.
Yeah.
But sometimes it will bite you, as we,
Yeah.
as we can see.
In contrast, looking at the Gates deck in the semifinals, their sideboard did have a couple more cards in the Ceruli Gatekeepers.
Ooh, I
For
like
the mono red
that.
matchup, this is 3 and a green. This is a common from Dragon's Maze. It's a 2/4 that when it enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or more gates, you gain 7 life. This is not only a good blocker, that 7 life is just back-breaking.
Another notable inclusion of this particular semifinalist list is it plays green for Open the Gates. So you can more consistently find your Basilisk Gates that you need.
So
Because that is one of the downfalls of this deck is that if you don't get to find your Basilisk Gate, your deck kind of looks flimsy. Not gonna lie.
So before this deck really cemented itself as the best Gates deck in the format, there was like this 4-color pile Gates running around, and you main deck played the Surreal Gatekeepers, but you also played stuff like Ephemerate, which was great.
The deck was a super mid-range deck.
This kind of reminds me of this without the Ephemerates, but this is really cool.
Those are more for just value. The idea is here. This is just to be more consistent of finding your Basilisk Gate. That's the only thing here.
That's cool.
And these feel like to me as versions of the Gates deck that are trying to beat the blue decks rather than the red decks, because it seems like the metagame, at least according to Goldfish and results on Magic Online, the blue decks are starting to overtake the red decks in the metagame share in the top of the challenges and things like that. I can't speak to what the Japanese metagame is in paper, but it seems like these Gates players are tuning to beat the Terror decks and the other blue decks with main deck Destroy Evil against things like Terror, rather than looking especially at our finalist list for the Gates deck. As much as they do have the 3 blue blasts and the 2 Hydro blasts, none of these green cards are present. They have like a couple Dawnbringer Clerics in the main. And Sacred Cat's very good, but if you're going into a tournament being like, I think my red matchup is good already, then why not tech for the blue decks?
Yep, that seems completely reasonable.
And I see from the top 4 Dimir Terror deck, they have 3 main deck Unexpected Fangs.
Yeah, they were gunning for the mono red deck.
They're gunning for
This is a fairies deck. This is not a Terror deck.
I'm looking at a Terror deck too.
That's the one in 5th.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah. No.
Oh, my bad.
No, there are 2 in top 8. The Dimir Fairies list was in top.
Was
4.
that Dimir Fairies deck running 3 Unexpected Things too?
It has.
There's 0 in the main.
No.
So
none.
the highest finishing terror deck, or I guess
Actually, this plays 0 in the 75.
Looks like Yuta Takahashi was also on fairies. Okay, so it's this 6th place, quote unquote. Yuta Takahashi played fairies? No way. Yeah, so
believed it.
all right, now I'm looking at the same list you are. Yeah, 3 unexpected fangs. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue. A lot of the blue decks were very popular in this tournament. It showed.
Blue is good in Pauper. Turns out.
Yeah, it turns out blue is really good because you get all of the cantrips, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's definitely like the most represented color overall in Pauper. I'd say blue.
Yeah,
but it's just like
I would agree with the presence of with Brainstorm and Preordain specifically.
I think white, black, red definitely all have like really good strengths, and green's just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, green tends to be more of a support color in
Yeah.
this format. It is definitely fallen by the wayside quite a bit. It tends to be for sideboard cards, and I know we talked about the Ponza deck. That's like the premier green deck of the format.
I mean, the winning deck is the only non-blue deck in this top 8.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
2 Gates decks, 2 Fairies decks, the Mono Blue Delver,
Then, yeah.
the Dimir Control, and then in 8th, the Scred list, which looks like it's another Terror deck. It's the blue-red Terror list that we were talking about before.
A few Kadoltha Reds in top 16 though, so like it's not like Red did bad or anything by any means.
yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, if a metagame is going to be as blue-heavy as this, then red is where I want to be personally. Like, I like my Terror matchup. I like my Fairies and Delver matchups. Things like that feel very, very good. It's the Gates decks I want to look out for, but that's, this player obviously came prepared with the raises in the sideboard.
I think if I had played it, seeing this metagame break down at least the top 16, if I were playing in this tournament, I think I probably would have just registered the Gardens deck.
I love that deck so much.
It beats up on all these Terror decks like really bad.
The Gates matchup is iffy. I don't think it's. I think it's about 50-50.
So I know a card you and I had discussed outside of this that's great for that matchup that I'd like to test at some point is a card called Rancid Earth.
Yeah.
Not only so it's 1 black for a destroy target land, but also if you have Threshold, all your opponent's creatures get -1/-1.
So that could be a blowout if you get one of their gates, like their Basilisk Gate.
And then
get Squadron Hawks.
get Squadron Hawks and Sacred Cat too.
Any other creatures almost.
Yeah, that card seems backbreaking. If you expect a lot from the Garden's perspective, you expect to see a lot of the Gates decks.
Or if you're black too. I don't think Terror would be playing that, but
no,
still.
it's, having the double black on that card is probably going to be pretty rough. But
Yeah,
the,
for sure.
the Garden's deck can handle
I
it.
guess like a takeaway from this too is the red deck's really good, the Gates deck is really good, and blue black's really good in either Terror or Fairies.
I would agree.
I think those are kind of like the huge pillars of Pauper.
Yeah, that seems about correct for me.
Cool. Is that a wrap, boys?
I think so.
All right. If you made it this far, you guys rock. Tell us how you liked it in the little Spotify thingy or anything of your podcast of choice. Give us a review. That helps a lot. Ratings.
Yeah, we want to keep doing this.
Yeah, for sure. We like talking. We'll do this regardless. It's fun.
It's true.
It's true.
Thank you all.
Thank you, fam.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace out.